Welcome one and all to the Mudai Manga Book Club podcast. Today is episode 16, Muscles versus Magic. Pew, 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 pew. My name is Louie and I am going to pump you up. And I'm joined with my co-host.
As Garfield once said, I am in shape. Round is a shape.
Tom.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of the show. But you can't guess what we're going to talk about today.
No idea. I already forgot.
Who are you?
So we're going to have two topics today. First, we're going to talk about what we've been doing, what we've been reading, what we've been listening to for the past week. And then our main topic for today is we're going to do a review of the first arc of Mashle of Magic and Muscles. So this is the Easton Enrollment arc. So chapters 1 to 15. I believe it's like book 1 to a little into book 2.
It's most of the way through book 2. It doesn't. I think there's 1 or 2 chapters at the end that technically we're not covering.
Okay.
Book 1, most of book 2.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yes, speaking of that, Louis, what have you been up to? What have you read, seen, or listened to in the past week?
So not a whole lot this time. I've reread, I guess, Rave Master Volume 1. I read this years ago, like years ago. So Rave Master Volume 1, this is the same creator as Fairy Tail and Eden Zero.
Yep.
So this is like his first big published work. It came out a long time ago. 1999 is when it came out in Japan.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep. So it's good. You can definitely see that his style has changed significantly since then. The story is very interesting. So it starts off with the main character. He is kind of just on the beach on this island. And some people show up, and it's a little vague on what's going on. I don't want to get too into it, but it's about these people showing up who are not from this island, and there's a thing called, I forget what the exact name of it is, but there's like a dark object that kind of curses everything, and then there's the Rave, which is, you see it in some of the promotions, like a little sword jewel.
Okay.
And that is what fights the dark. It's the specific name.
The very dark.
No, Dark Brings. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay. So you got Raves destroyed Dark Brings. So 50 years ago, there was a giant war. The Dark Brings were destroyed by Rave, which is a Rave Master is the person who controls the Rave.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird terms. So then fast forward to now, you got your new character called Haru. He is on the island with his sister. And some people who work, not really with, but work, I guess with, is the best way I can put it.
Sure.
Work with the Dark Brings. And it's a group called the Demon Card. They are hunting down Raves because of reasons, which isn't explained in the first book. So they have a big fight. You get the previous Rave Master from 50 years ago shows up, and he teaches Haru about what Raves are. And Haru becomes the new Rave Master, quotes, meaning he can use the Rave, but he's a poor user because he just started. He defeats someone from the Demon Card who was considered very weak, but okay, you defeated someone from the Demon Card. And the Demon Card people have kind of like Raves, but they have their own abilities, and the Raves can defeat those. And it's a very simple story, but it's interesting. But the biggest difference between Rave Master and, say, Eden Zero is the art style is light years ahead over these 20 years. If you look at the first book of Rave Master and the first book of Eden Zero, unless you knew that they're 20 years apart and they're the same person, it's like, these don't look similar at all.
Yeah, other than some of the character designs.
Other than the character designs, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, if you want to see where that author got his start, that's Rave Master.
Cool.
That's his first big one. It went for 32 volumes, I think.
That sounds about right. I know it's similar in length to what Eden Zero is.
Yeah.
And that's like 30 to 35.
Yeah,
it's
it
in
went
that range.
for 6 years. Yeah, 35 volumes.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
There is an anime. I don't know if it covered the whole show. And this is also where they introduced the dog that has the spiral nose.
Yeah.
His name is Plu, and the author gives an explanation in the book about what Plu is. And he's like, I have no idea where I came up with this. I came up with this in elementary school. And it's like, I can't remember if it was based on a dog, a person, or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there it is. So it's good. It's
Cool.
It's a little rough, but I think it kind of is the times. Because if you look back at, say, the original One Piece, it's a much more cartoony style.
Right.
I think that was much more of the style of the times as well.
Yeah,
It was popular. So it's good. I'll probably pick
Nice.
up the rest because I never actually finished reading it. But yeah, it's cool.
It was on the list of the top-selling manga of all time, I do believe.
Really? Oh, yeah, that's right. It is very popular. I think, if this is the one I remember, I think it does get pretty dark as it goes on. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the artist/author, who, for anyone who doesn't know, name is Hiro Mashima. I believe he said in one of the Eden Zero books that this story he really planned out, like, meticulously.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I plan to read the rest of it eventually. So that's one book I read. And then...
It is on the top sellers. It has sold slightly less than Freerun and slightly more than Cardcaptor Sakura.
Oh, okay. So that's it's still a lot.
23.5 million copies.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
For anyone looking for it in English, this was done by Tokyo Pop. I don't know how easy it is to find physical copies anymore. You can definitely get it digitally.
Digital copies do exist for it. It's around.
But I don't know how easy it is to get like a paper copy. Because it's 20 years old now, which is crazy. So I don't know if you'll see it in any bookstores. You might see it in some secondhand stores, but I don't know if they're printing new copies.
I doubt it.
Rave Master 1, good. Yeah, definitely check it out. And then I finally finished the HP Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction by HP Lovecraft Historical Society.
Oh, wow. He's written all of fiction.
Yes.
See.
It's a big book.
Yeah.
So what this was a collection of all of H.P. Lovecraft's stories in an audiobook where there's two guys who read through all of the books and all of the short stories and all of his little novelettes and almost like little memos. Like,
okay.
Some of the stories are like 2 minutes long. So there's a ton of stuff. It took forever to go through it all.
Yeah.
The ones you have heard of are good. There's a lot that you probably have never heard of, which are okay. And then there are some that, like, I just want to get through this to get to the next one. So, like, The Mountains of Madness.
I've heard of almost none of them.
At the Mountains of Madness is really good.
Yep.
That's a big one. Call of Cthulhu is actually really short, which I didn't realize going into this. There's a bunch of ones that are actually real, almost novels. But a lot of them are like, okay, this is... more like a very short novelette, I guess. Yeah. Dunwich Horrors are good. The horror
my
of Red
favorite
Hook.
is the one about the Lost Bloods. What was it, Bloodborne? That's my favorite.
Ah, that's a good one too, yeah.
Yeah. I think he did great mechanic. Oh, wait, no, that's from...
Yeah, that's a different one. But it's
one.
really cool. It's kind of like the story where a lot of this creepy, otherworldly stuff that you hear about comes from.
Very much so. I don't know any of his fiction, but it is a ton of fiction has been inspired by it. And it's a collection of all of that, which would kind of be incredible.
So if you've heard the Necronomicon, that's him. If you've heard of Arkham, that's him.
Yep.
If you heard of Cthulhu, that's him.
Yep.
If you heard of Shoggoth, that's him.
Yep.
Eldritch Horror.
Eldritch Horror as a concept, basically... There's probably bits and pieces of it throughout history before that, but he's the one who made it an actual genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stories are about things that's like, this is undescribable. You can't put this into words. This is something from beyond our known universe. Or
yep.
There's a lot of stories that actually take place in dreams.
Mm-hmm.
There are whole ideas of things have been living on Earth for millennia or longer before humans even came about, and they're still there. They're just hanging out, kind of minding their own business, and someone goes, discovers them, and crazy stuff happens, or they just look at them and go insane, or things like that. Or
yeah,
a lot of those ideas started from him, and this was back in the early 1900s is when he wrote them, and a lot of them take place there, and a lot of them take place in New England. Like he goes to Vermont. A lot of them take place in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So Arkham isn't a real place, but it kind of that's where a lot of the stories take place, or reference Arkham a lot. Yeah. But they do reference like Boston, Plymouth, Newburyport.
Yep.
So if you know your New England lore, it's interesting because it's like, okay, the style is also very different than you would read nowadays. Because it's a ton of short stories. Some of them connect to other stories. Like, if you read this, you know that.
Right.
I've talked about this in a different story. Mm-hmm. None of them follow, like, a set character. Some of them are multiple books of the same character.
Right.
Like, this one talks about this character, and then another one talks about the same character, but years down the line.
Right.
And the really funny thing is, at the very end of this audiobook, the final chapter is bloopers of them just trying to pronounce some of this stuff as they're recording. So it's like,
amazing.
I am about to go. Oops, I gotta do that again.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
It's like, it's just like 8 minutes of them just, and then they. I gotta practice this. Yeah, it's funny. But some of the stories have nothing to do with Eldritch horror. Some of them are just creepy stories.
Yeah.
So some are really good. Some are interesting. There's no bad story, but I think it also depended on when they were written. Some of them are really, really good. Some of them could have been better.
Yeah.
Or at least more fleshed out. But a lot of those ones are very, very short. So
cool.
Like the really big ones are really good. Like Mountain of Madness is really good.
Okay.
But that's it for me. That's all I've done.
Nice.
Yeah.
Still pretty good.
Yep. It only took me, I don't know how many months to finally get through all of those. It's just like, okay, I need a break. And let's do this again in another week. All right, finally finished.
Hooray.
So what have you been up to?
So I've also not done a lot, which, to be fair, still ends up being like 7 books. So
yeah,
it's still me, but I haven't done as much as before. I've been doing some other stuff. Read a couple of different things. I'm going to do this in reverse order of how I finished it. So last week you brought up this comic that you've read called I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire.
Yes.
And I had mentioned that, I had seen that and I was kind of interested in it. Well, it was on sale, and so I bought a bunch of the light novels. So I read the first light novel of that.
Nice. What'd you think?
It's good. It's lighthearted, light novel, sci-fi, weirdness, isekai fantasy thing. Pretty much what you described, but it gets to the second half, which from what I've seen in the summary for the second volume of the manga, pirates attack, and then the main character goes against them and defeats them, and some other stuff happens. And I can definitely imagine, having read that full book, it's like, if I stopped halfway through, I would not have liked this as much. Second half adds a good bit more. Nothing unique or nuanced compared to the first half, but it finishes a plot and gives you like a sense of, okay, stuff has happened, stuff is moving forward. There's some more stuff with the guide, because I'm assuming, if I remember from the book, at that point the guide, who is the sort of deity creature thing that's ruined his life in the old world and sent him to this new place to ruin his life again.
Yes.
He doesn't realize that, and so he feels a lot of gratitude toward the guide, which hurts him.
Okay.
I'm assuming that started happening in the first volume, where he's like, no, I don't want you to be happy. I want your life to be awful.
So I don't think that really comes up as much in the first volume.
Okay, well, that's what's going to happen in the second volume. And that's, it doesn't do anything, but there's some very funny scenes where he's like, I'm going to go back and see how much he's suffering. And it's like, no, he's happy. I hate this. Ah!
Yeah, because I think in the volume I read, he's about to go do that, but you don't see what happens.
Yeah, so gratitude hurts the guide. Which leads to some funny moments, and there's some plot points that come up. I won't spoil those, but there are some funny moments of that. There is a great bonus story in it where him desperately trying to be evil is like, well, I'm going to have a harem, and I'm going to become debaucherous, and his butler and his AI maid are like talking to him. It's like, well, I'm going to do this. And they are completely not shocked by anything he says as he's desperately trying to be like the most debaucherous person. It's like, really? That's all you're going to do? It's like, what? It's like, you're the owner of a planet. What do you mean? I've started the second one. I haven't gotten far enough to really say anything about it, but the first book is everything you expect, and it's kind of funny that way. The second one feels more of, oh, well, now we need to have this happen again. So we're going to have something silly happen, which is going to ruin everything. And then all the stuff will... It doesn't feel as good, but I'm still very early.
Okay.
So it's not exceptional, but it's fine. And it's fun.
Okay.
If you're interested in the plot of person tries to be evil and fails miserably at it, becoming incredibly popular for how awesome he is, because every attempt he does to be evil kind of works out to actually be good, then you'll enjoy this.
Okay.
And mech battles. And
Yes.
like crazy science fantasy tech. The pirate battles and things like that are kind of interesting. They're not unique, but they're good.
So there's no real evilness to him then.
You definitely see it in the second half of he really wants to be evil, but what he thinks is evil is like mildly annoying, as opposed to like truly black-hearted devilry.
Okay.
And he's like, aha, have you met the merchant? Do you remember if you met the merchant?
No, I met the mechanic.
So there's a merchant who he starts working with, who he constantly makes these Japanese jokes about how he's like, aha, my corrupt merchant friend. And the merchant is like, yeah, he always asks me for bribes, but he asks me for gold, which isn't really that rare. It's kind of cheap. And he's really nice about everything else. He's a really good guy. And like every time he's like, yes, my evil, and like this is the isekai guy. Like there's like, yes, it's my evil merchant friend. Nice to see you. And it's like, hi, how you doing? Doing well? It's like, do you have my bribe? Yeah, here's your gold. Yes, thank you, evil merchant friend. It's like, no, my name's Fred. Yes, I know, Fred. I'm just, it's a joke. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway, this guy is super nice. He's so much better than all the other nobles. It's very much that.
Gotcha.
That is absolutely what the story is. And the first book, it was like, this is funny. And it's like, the second book is like, oh, I was hoping like there might be something more than that. And it doesn't feel like it yet. But I'm still early in it, so we'll see.
Okay.
I'm going to skip over one other one just to do another quick one. I read Frontier Lord number 8 of the light novels. That just came out. That is really good. It is, last time they went and had like a noble visit vacation. This one ends up being a minor war, which to explain is like very complex, like super minor, but they end up building not quite an army, but like a full guard for their village because a bunch of his old war buddies end up coming back, and that's a big part of it. He fights some more dragons, he does a bunch of other stuff, but it's a much more action-focused book.
Okay.
But it's still Frontier Lord every which way. Funny, interesting, a little bit of politics, a little bit of interesting characters, a little bit of just like daily life, and moving everybody forward, but it pushes more into the action, and it pushes more into him as a general, and then the Illic village actually getting troops and guardsmen. But it's very good. It's a great set of stories, again, just like it always has been.
Nice.
If you like Frontier Lord up to this point, you're just going to keep liking it. Go read it. It's great.
That works, yeah. I only read the manga, so you're probably a number of books ahead of me.
Yeah, we're quite a ways ahead, I think, at this point, especially now that both books are coming out. But it's very good. I don't really want to spoil anything, and I don't really so I kind of want to not give details. Not that there's a lot to spoil. Like, guess what? He wins. Guess what? He wins by being the person who runs forward with an axe. But like, he gets his like special armor that the cavekin. I don't know if you've met them yet, but like the little dwarf people that eventually join.
Not yet.
Well, there are dwarves. They eventually join, and they eventually make him armor, and they finished his armor and added all these special enchantments to it because of these other things that have happened. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's now super duper McDuper fooper duper super upgraded. He's almost unkillable. He's not unkillable.
Almost, yeah.
But he's almost unkillable. But it's very fun. It's very funny. It's a great story, and there's some more updates of like what will happen next. The politics of the rest of the kingdom and some other things are sort of set up that should be coming up in the next few books. So it's really good. I'm super happy with it. It's a great series. The other two that I read, I'll do Dagashiya Yahagi, setting up Sweet Shop in Another World. This is another isekai. This is very much a comedy where person gets isekai'd, and his special ability that he ends up being given because he's just sort of thrown into this world is the ability to open a dagashiya, which is a Japanese sweet shop. Think of like a penny candy store.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's what they have.
Gotcha.
But they're in a like classic medieval fantasy sword and adventurers type thing, and all of his stuff gives bonuses to people. One of his first items is this super cheap, and it's penny candy, like it comes at like a set price, and it's like extremely cheap. But because it's from his mana and things like that, he can just make more of it. But it's like, oh, it's just gum, and you chew on it, and as long as you're chewing on it and it has flavor left, you gain an MP back every 5 seconds.
Okay. So does he actually make the candy himself?
He doesn't make it, but his magic causes it to exist. He can't make infinite amounts, but like every day, some of his items will just restock.
Okay.
So at one point, he gets... One of the things that comes up in this story is, for another item that he has suit around, like there's like a toy like rocket that you'll throw and it explodes, and like in this world it explodes and is a bomb, so you can defeat monsters with it. He can't just make an infinite number of them. He can't even make them himself. He has to open a store and take them off the shelf and like put them in his pocket. But every day it will restock back up to whatever amount the store has.
Interesting.
So he has some access to them and a bunch of other items. For some of the other items, that becomes a thing of, oh, there's one where it's like a high-priced bag of potato chips, but it comes with a collectible card, and it's a card of a monster, and if you use the card, you can summon that monster for 3 minutes.
Oh, that's cool.
So at one point, he has to go into the dungeon of the town, because mostly it's about adventurers, and so like, but he can't fight, so he's like, oh, I'm going to open up every bag of chips, eat all of them, and take the cards from all of them. Like, okay, I've got 10 cards, let's go. The story mostly revolves around him and a couple of other adventurers. If you are looking for... Let me make sure I can say this right. Not tsundere, yandere. If you're looking for a nice yandere story of like psychopathic possessive girlfriend, that's what this is, because I won't spoil anything about books 2 and 3, because books 2 and 3 just the nice thing about this is book 2 and book 3 just totally push the story forward in a completely new direction. So I'll only really spoil anything from the first one, but it's not like, oh, they're going to have more of the same adventures. It's like, no, book 1 is about him getting into this world. And then book 2 is, okay, he's going to like actually start changing stuff in the dungeon. And book 3 is, yeah, he's going to a completely different part of the country.
Yeah.
With a sweet shop? Yep. So, but you're not spoiling it. Just talking about the first one.
Yep.
It starts off with him living in this cheap inn, and there's this super famous scary adventurer who's like known as like the god of death, who's like has the room next door and might like, and everyone's angry because they're all in this cheap inn. It's like, oh yeah, be careful, if you wake them up they might just kill you. And he like walks by and is like, oh, there's some really fancy women's underwear on his bed. I guess everyone has their own weird fetishes. Anyway, and then like they keep bumping into each other for unrelated reasons, and you, the reader, immediately find out, yeah, it's not a guy, it's a girl, and she's very much attracted to him.
Okay.
And so like they're walking along and like she keeps bumping into him. It's like, for whatever reason he seemed to get really annoyed at me and kept bumping into me, and his body feels weird. Anyway, it's just that. And then it's like, oh, you should come by and like hang out at my place. And it's like, it's weird. He keeps asking me to stay at his house. But it's like, what if I wanted to get a girlfriend? But his cooking is really good. Weird. And it's very silly. This is absolutely a comedy. This is 100% stupid, goofy Japanese humor.
Gotcha. Okay.
And what's good about it is halfway through, yes, the most obvious thing happens. Oh yeah, he realizes that it's actually a girl, and the whole thing goes on.
Okay. Well, at least it didn't go on forever like that.
Yeah, no, it does not. Like, it starts to get to the point of like, okay, yeah, I get it. There's reasons why he doesn't quite get it at first. Mm-hmm. And there's reasons why she can't just be like, hey, it's me, I'm a girl. Like, she has to wear a mask and these robes all the time because she is a witch who cursed the king and so has like 100,000 coin bounty on her head.
I see. Okay.
But that also, like, halfway through the book, like, oh yeah, they realize who each other are, and like, it's never drawn out forever. Like, they're dating by the end of book 1. Spoiler, not spoiler. Okay, we'll like be a couple, we'll see how this works. And it's like they're living together by the end of book 2 and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's very good. It's very funny. The adventures and things are extremely standard isekai tropes, but it kind of leans into that, and it does a lot of... It reminds me a lot of I'm in Another World with My Smartphone,
Yep.
only lower powered.
Okay.
One of the things he eventually gets is little tiny plastic mecha models. And it's like one of the big parts of like the first and second book is like, oh, everybody loves buying these. And then they realize that if they like touch them to their forehead, they can magically link them and control them. And so they have tournaments where they just fight each other as these little plastic Gundam models.
That's funny.
That's so much of the story. And turns out that the king was cursed by the witch, but that was because the witch's sister, like the king said that he wanted to marry the witch, but then like the witch's sister like came in and like cast a love curse on him, so the king fell in love with her, and all this other very over the top silly. It is extremely good. There is a manga. It's not in English, but the manga's over. I think there's a fourth light novel.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's coming out in English.
Because the third one just came out in January.
Which is the only reason why I think the fourth one might still be coming out. But it is over.
Oh.
But it doesn't feel like it's going to be over. So it's very much in a weird position of, I think it's done, but it's not all out. I might want to talk about this again just because it's like, it's really funny. And it feels like worth talking about, but kind of, there's not much to talk about in this moment, so I don't know, but it is very good, very silly, very fun. And finally, I finished Mushishi books 7 through 10.
Nice.
Finally got caught up, finally finished all of that. Last time I said like 4, 5, and 6, like there's some really good stories on 7, 8, 9, 10 are fantastic. They are as good as the first 3 books all the way through. Any points where it was like these stories aren't so good, no, there's still like one that I'm like not super enthused about each book.
Okay.
But the high points are back to being super high and more consistent, and even the worst parts are still really good. 4, 5, and 6 were still good, but 7, 8, 9, and 10 are great.
Does it still do each chapter is kind of its own story?
Yes, but no, but yes. The vast majority of it is. There are still very few returning characters, though a couple do come back. But after that, they then go away again. But there are now 2 stories that are not 1 chapter. There are 2 stories that are 2 chapters. The last 2 chapters of book 7 and the last 2 chapters of the series.
Okay.
But they're still basically just a self-contained story, but longer. It feels like it goes more into the spiritual and supernatural than the sort of research and medical side.
Okay.
And the stories are all good, but the last 2 chapters of the series, there's no like ending. It's just, yep, this is the last story. And you get to the end, it's like, well, that's over. Yep. There just aren't more.
Okay.
Which, for a series that's a bunch of short stories, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Because there's so few like characters, you could probably take that and put it in book 4 and it wouldn't change anything about all the stories it was before. Mm-hmm. There are a few more things. You get another chapter of Ginkgo when he was younger and like his first time actually learning to be a Mushishi and what happens there, which is very positive up until a point that it becomes horribly heart-wrenching and like, okay. Yeah, I see how he became how he was. And you learn a bit more about the ultra super forbidden Mushi that's in the library that we talked about.
Oh, okay, yep.
That got sealed inside of a person's body. And it's like, oh, this thing might be happening soon. And then it doesn't come up again. That's the first of the 2-parters. Has something to do with that. And it's a great story, but it's like, okay, that's a thing. Thanks for being around when you were to help out in a small way, Ginkgo, even though you almost died because of it because you're an idiot. But yeah, it should be fine for now. Anyway, we're not going to talk about this anymore.
Of course.
If you want a narrative thread, you're never getting it.
Yeah.
There's never going to be anything where you'll get to the end like, oh, okay, this was all for this or that. No, there's none of that. But it continues and it gets even more so again to be this very good, interesting stories that work really well. And even the last story, while it doesn't connect to anything, it's a good last story.
I see.
I'll give the minimum amount I can because I think it actually helps where it's in this series you've learned about the mountain masters, like the spirit of the mountain and they live, help regulate the mountain, and eventually die and are replaced with new ones. You see this happen in like 4 or 5 different instances. And the last pair of stories is about a story where the master is actually a human is chosen.
Interesting.
Kind of intentionally, but kind of unintentionally. How they all deal with that, and should they try to bring them back to being a human? Do they have to make them more into a mountain master? What will the Mushi do, and who will take over for them? It ends as a story that you could just have kept the series going afterwards.
Okay.
But as a last story, it kind of
works.
It feels like a thematic culmination of everything, but
okay,
there's no narrative end to it. No, it just stops. But it's very good.
Okay.
For every time I said in the last one, it's like, I'm not quite so sure about it anymore. No, it comes back fully in these 4 books, so it's great. Absolutely fantastic series.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's Mushishi. So for our big topic today, we're going to talk about Mashle of Magic and Muscles by Hajime Komodo. It was published in Shonen Jump from January 27, 2020 to July 3rd, 2023. It totaled 18 volumes. All of them are in English. There is also an anime for this series. There are 24 episodes so far. They're split into 2 12-episode seasons. A 3rd season has been announced. They're not close to the end of the series, but we don't know when it is coming out. But that is the series we're going to be talking about. Like we said earlier, we're going to be covering the Easton Enrollment arc, which is the first 15 chapters, the first book, and most of book 2 of the manga. And Louie, you've read all of this as well, correct?
Yes. Yep. I read it as it was coming out.
Yeah, I read it about 3 months ago, and I binged this whole series. Yeah. We're not gonna do spoilers for the rest of it, but we both have finished it. And I think we both agreed, because we were talking about it 47 seconds ago. It's a good series.
Yes, it is good. It's funny.
It's really good. It's funny. It's action-packed. It's shonen-y, shonen, shonen.
Yes.
But if you like that, it's very good.
Yeah, it's a comedy action. That's the 2 main things. If you want anything else, that's not in it.
Yeah, and I think I was trying to think of how to best talk about the series in this part of the story that would make sense, and I feel like that's the right place to start. I'm going to start with what you told me, which got me to be like, okay, let me look at this and ultimately start reading it, which is, okay, imagine Harry Potter, but Harry Potter can't use magic, and he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And it's a Japanese comic series.
Yep.
There's your summary of Mashle. There's everything you need to know about this series is summed up in those 2 sentences. Yes, the narrative has more to it. Yes, more stuff is going on, but that's the series in a nutshell. And so if you want no spoilers, you don't want to know anything else, and you want to know if it's good, and there's all you need to know about it to understand why it's good.
Yeah, and this is not a bodybuilder like on Earth. This is someone in Shonen Jump. Anything. Yes. It's like they bodybuild by bench pressing giant boulders and things like that. This is someone who is beyond what the definition of strong means.
Yes. A great thing, there's a panel of it in like chapter 2 where he does something. It's like he does the electric chair, which is like standing as if you are seated in a chair when the chair doesn't exist, while also doing it with one leg crossed over his other. So he's only standing on one foot, pretending to sit in a chair while sipping a cup of tea and reading a book. And even through his robes, like you can see his pecs half the time. Like
yes.
And the very first scene is him in the forest bench pressing, not even bench pressing, but doing like barbell lifts of like 800 pounds, like massive weights on each side. And like even the deer is just in the scene, just like mouth hanging open, like, what?
And he's not just doing this normally. He's doing it incredibly fast.
Yeah.
It's just a blur as he's doing all these.
Yes. that's the story. It's this not serious, comedic, action-packed, muscle bodybuilder in a magic world that's basically it's absolutely inspired by and kind of just feels like copyright-free Harry Potter.
Yeah. And this is a world where everyone uses magic.
Yes.
And you're looked down upon if you don't.
You're not looked down upon. You're arrested and put in prison.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
But people who are weak in magic are looked down upon. So the stronger you are in magic, the higher you rate in society.
Yeah.
So him having no magic means he's like less than dirt for most people.
When we talk about the actual, like, some of the plots, although we'll sort of talk about it here, he lives in the forest because he can't go into town, and because he really wants cream puffs because this cream puff shop is having a sale, which is another running gag of the series. Is the main character Mash Burn Dead? Yeah, by the way, the main character's name is Mash Burn Dead.
Yep,
it's very shonen action silliness.
Yeah,
but he goes into the city because he's gonna have these special cream puffs. And there's a thing about the world where everyone who can use magic, which is nearly everyone, will have a black line or multiple black lines on their face. It's usually extremely thin. Mm-hmm. For some characters, if you're not looking closely, it might take you a moment to find it, but they'll have a black line somewhere on the face. And he does not have one because he has no magic.
Right.
And the wind blows and his hood falls back and people see him and like everyone immediately runs away and the police start chasing him to arrest him because he can't use magic and he is to be arrested and put in jail. That is the world that they live in. But I feel like more than telling the story, just talking about how this story is a better starting point. As you said, it's very dumb. It does not get smarter, but it's so good. And when we get to the characters, everyone is a shonen trope, or more often, and usually as the story goes on, a caricature of a shonen trope.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And almost always only get more silly and more tropey as they go, and more burned into that. They're good characters. They're fun characters. But like when they let their weirdness come out, they just become even more supremely weird.
Oh, and they know it too.
They know, and everyone else calls them out on it.
Yeah.
And they all just like, well, yeah, but you're weird for this thing. It's like, yeah, well, you're weird for this thing. Yeah,
yeah.
And the plot will never surprise you. There will be surprising moments. There will be crazy battles. You won't know how he's going to win, but it's like, who is going to win? What is going to happen? Where is it going to go next? This does not alter any standard formula. It is one of the most standard plots ever. But it's done the way I wrote it down. It is pure distilled shonen. It is 50% vodka, triple distilled, charcoal filtered, aged in glass for whatever they do for vodka to make it even more just pure distilled alcohol at its most purest form. Nothing less than that and nothing more than that. And if you are interested in that, it is exactly that, and it is so good.
Yeah. The most surprising parts is he comes up to trials, and how he solves them without magic is the most surprising part every time. It's like, how did you even think that this would be a thing?
Yes. Yes, the methods are surprising and usually hilarious.
Yeah.
But if you were to say, okay, he's facing a trial, how is he going to beat it? By being super buff.
Yeah, that's his solution.
Like being swole. It's like, that will always be the solution. The exact method will change and often be surprising.
And if he gets stuck, he'll just get swoller.
Yes.
That's how he solves things.
That is everything about this series. It is, and its theme of hard work pays off.
Yes.
Just go all in. Mm-hmm. And another way I like to think about it, which is you don't need magic to bend reality to your will.
That comes up later.
That comes up later too. But also it's just like, it's very much a story about everyone prioritizes magic. Everybody loves magic. Magic is everything. And he has literally figured out how to just be so buff that he himself counters magic.
Yes.
There is an overarching narrative. There is all this stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
And there is more to it. Like, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but there is more plot development and this story that comes up from it. But that's not why you're reading this.
No.
It is this, and it's just going to be, these other things will get added on top, but it's going to be exactly like every other shonen you've ever seen, but
ridiculous.
extra shonen.
Yeah.
Even more, like, think of the most shonen thing ever. Now add shonen to it. Now top it with extra shonen. Now sprinkle some extra shonen on top of that. So that's this series.
So if you took Dragon Ball Z, where everyone just kept getting stronger and stronger, but then threw a ton of comedy on top of it,
yes,
that's pretty much how this character works. It's like, I'm just going to get strong. All he does is exercise and eat cream puffs.
yes,
And he gets stronger because of that, but then solves all his problems, sometimes not even by fighting, just by being ridiculous.
yes.
Yeah.
And the running gags continue to happen, like in the very beginning, and one that comes up a lot in this, although it fades as it goes along, is Mash Burn Dead is an idiot, but
yes,
he tries hard. He's the classic shonen protagonist. He tries really hard. He's not outwardly mean to anybody. He tries to do the right thing, and he tries to be a good person. And there's a story explanation for it. We'll get to that, but he doesn't know how doors always work. He can't tell if it's a push or pull door. So he'll usually accidentally rip the whole door off.
Yep.
And just like pick it up and then like, uh-oh, I'm sorry, let me put it back. And then he'll try to put it back, but he'll have tilted it 45 degrees so it doesn't even fit in the doorway, and he'll keep pushing, and he'll shatter the door against the door frame and destroy the door.
Yeah, he doesn't always realize how strong he is.
Yeah.
But then he often knows how strong he really is.
I think he knows, but he doesn't know always how to regulate it.
That's true. Maybe that's a better way to put it. But yeah.
Yeah.
The idiot part, is always kind of goofy. I think him being like a complete idiot isn't really...
He's not...
It's more of he's just unfocused, I guess. He's more of a... He doesn't think about things. He just does.
He doesn't think about things, and he can't do, like... Because I'm thinking of a couple of scenes specifically where someone is explaining something to him and he just falls asleep in the middle of it. Where it's like, he's not stupid. He's not incapable of caring about these complicated things. But like, if it's complicated, his brain just is like,
zones
okay,
out.
just short, make it short. Okay, you need to deal with this. Got it. I'll go do that. Fine.
Yeah.
He's not one for complexities.
No, he is not.
Yes.
Yes. And that joke kind of goes throughout the whole series. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He's not necessarily bad at anything, but it's just like, I know muscles, cream puffs, and try to be a good person.
That's about it.
But mostly the first two.
Mostly the first two.
Yes. But that is your summary of this series. That is the summary of the whole series. And the fights are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to cover the first couple books. The fights are not as incredible. There's 2 good big fights in this part.
Yep.
But they do get better as it goes for almost the entire series. And the humor gets better, and the characters... You get a lot of the major characters who will be in the whole series on Mash's side in these first 2 books.
Yes.
So you'll get to see them grow and become like a whole group of people together. Mm-hmm. But there are always new and interesting characters that get introduced as we go along too. But
yeah, some other really cool ones come in the later books.
Main characters, we have Mash Burn Dead, as we talked about, often called Mushroom Head. He's got the sort of bowl cut, very plain, sleepy looking face, which apparently he was going to look more like one of the characters from the author's one-shots. And like, no, this is terrible. And so he did the complete opposite, and that became Mash. And that same character from that one-shot became one of the later characters in this series.
Oh, really? Which one was that?
I believe Dot.
Okay.
Is the design that is similar to the design that Mash was originally going to be. We're like, no, you can't do that. And so he made him into Mash. And he's like, well, I'm going to use him for Dot. It's like, fine, that's fine. Just fine. Extremely strong, completely, utterly, and 100% now and forever incapable of using magic.
Yes.
He does have a face line. When we get to the story, we'll explain why, but he gets one. It's fake. He has no magic. Everything he does is just with muscle power. Not necessarily realistically, but muscle power.
I don't think it's ever realistic.
Um,
Even in that world, it's not realistic.
Pulling a door off its hinges, a wooden door off its hinges, is almost realistic for someone who is a serious bodybuilder.
That's still a stretch.
It's maybe not that easily,
It would
but
be quite
it's possible.
surprising.
Flying in a broom by kicking the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, which comes up. I agree, that's not realistic. Your other main characters on the main side, and the main characters of the series, you have Lemon Irving, who is the female lead of the story. You'll notice we've never talked about their romance, because there isn't.
It's very one-sided.
It's eventually it's one-sided. And even here, there's some moments where it's like, oh no, it's one-sided. It's like, yeah, but like Lemon doesn't show up enough for like...
That is true. In the beginning, Lemon isn't there often.
Yeah, in the beginning, like Lemon is there, and it is one-sided in that she likes Mash, and Mash kind of just...
Is oblivious.
Isn't aware.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just oblivious. But Lemon doesn't show up enough for that to be even much of a thing until later in the series. Not that she doesn't appear, but it's like she's in like 1 out of every 5 chapters.
Yeah.
She's just like sort of there, or is like a background character. But she is part of it. We don't see any of her magic really in this part.
Nope. Oh, you bring up a good point. Everyone who uses magic also typically has a specialty. Like they focus, they can do regular magic, but then they also have a magic that they are really good at. So a lot of the characters will have like, this is my super spell that I've honed, and it usually is similar to their personality.
Yeah.
It's just something to remember because that comes up a lot, that I have my ace in the hole spell, but they also can do just regular generic magic.
She's a single line user. She's got like a little like upside down crescent on a string under one of her eyes. And then you have Finn Ames, who is another character that shows up a lot. He shows up a lot more. He's described as the straight man to Mash's...
Everything.
I forget. Yeah. Ridiculous craziness.
Yeah, he points out a lot of the strangeness that goes on with Mash and all of their friends. It's like, they're all really weird, is his trope.
Yeah, he's the normal guy.
Yeah.
He's the normal Japanese student.
Yeah.
Who's gotten dragged into everything.
Yeah.
We also don't see his magic. We don't see much about him, but he's just the normal dude.
Yeah.
In all of this and in most of the series. And he's also Mash's roommate.
Yeah.
In the dormitory.
So I think of all the characters, you see him the most, besides Mash.
Yes, he is the most involved because he's usually tagging along or like helping him out and it's like explaining things. He doesn't mean poorly, but like he's more worried about himself because he's not very powerful. He's not very strong. He's not very courageous, but he's here and he's trying to do the right thing. But
especially in the beginning,
that
changes as the story goes along. But in the very beginning, he's very much worried about his school life, and then Mash is here just causing chaos.
Yeah. When he finds out like Mash is in his dorm, it's like, oh man, that guy who didn't seem to have any magic, I really hope I never have to see him. Opens the door to his dorm room. Mash is right there. It's like, oh, hi. Like, oh, great.
Yeah.
A couple of the like protagonist side characters, I guess you would say, is probably the best way to talk about them. The next one is
Tom Knowles.
Tom Knowles. Yeah. He's more involved early on. I feel like he goes away as the series goes on.
I think so. Yeah.
But he's a jock and says weird things and is kind of involved for stuff and then just slowly becomes a background character.
Yeah, that's, I think, what he just kind of does his own thing and eventually he's not as big of a deal later on.
He's important early on,
yes.
But he's just like an upperclassman. He's a second year instead of a first year. And he's involved in the duelo.
Yeah.
He's the duelo team lead, which is not Quidditch. It's
not Quidditch.
It's store brand Quidditch. But he gets Mash to join, and but because early in the series, he's sort of the other friend who gets involved in stuff and slowly gets replaced by the next two characters. Besides being a sports jock person, he never stops saying weird phrases, usually about bamboo.
Yes.
Those motivational sports quotes, that's 95% of his dialogue. And that's him. That's his entire character is sports quotes and yay, bamboo.
Yeah.
The last two major characters who you'll see a lot going forward in the series, as well as here, is you have Lance Crown, who is our first double line user.
Yes.
Because if you have any magic, you get a line, but you can have multiple lines if your magic is very powerful. And yeah, he's very easy to summarize. He is the cool, quiet, aloof,
good at everything.
Sasuke.
Yeah.
Every other shonen male protagonist pretty boy character, whose most notable character quirk, as the wiki puts it and as everyone else puts it, is he loves his little sister.
A bit too much.
Not that way.
Not
though.
that way. Not
that way.
But
it wouldn't be better if it was that way.
But
it's really bad,
even
though it's not that way. It would be worse, yes. But it's not that way.
Think of it as
But it's almost as bad.
An extremely overprotective older brother.
It's not even overprotective. He has nothing else to talk about.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. It's more that. Yeah.
Especially as the series goes on.
Yeah.
It's
so
like
he brings up his little sister all the time.
Yes.
And says how amazing she is whenever someone is talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's his trope.
Yeah, but he's also the first other mage that you see who's going to be a long-running character who has that really special magic. He does gravity magic.
Yes.
He's incredibly powerful. He's the first real fight of the series with a major character that takes more than 3 pages.
If that.
When he and Ash fight. Yeah. It takes 2 chapters. It's an actual big fight. But
yeah,
he's the Sasuke pretty boy, quiet dude. And the last one is Dot Barrett, who I mentioned earlier just as, hey, this character exists.
He doesn't show up as much in the first arc. He's more at the end.
He's near the end of it, but he is the last, major character. He's the loud, cannot shut up for anything character.
Yep. Sticks his foot in his mouth all the time.
Yep. Constantly yelling.
Yeah.
Constantly being rival coon to everyone and everything that annoys him. And guess what? His special magic is explosion.
Of course.
Just explosion. And then his super version of that is faster explosions.
Yeah.
More faster. Big frizzy hair, bright red bandana.
Yeah.
Giant mouth all the time. You know exactly. It's that character from the series. Yeah, that's him. His name's Dot.
Yeah. There is one other character I want to mention, and that's the Headmaster Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah, Wahlberg.
So, as we said before, if you have 1 line, you're normal for the most part. If you have 2 lines, you're exceptional. And by exceptional, I mean you're top of everything. And then there are certain people who have 3.
Yeah.
And that's, for the most part, you don't see them for a little while. But those people are considered, godlike among people because you are blessed with magic. Wahlberg is the headmaster of the school, and as the story starts, he is pretty much considered the best user in the world, I think. The best magician in the world. If not the best. Or he was the best, but he's still considered in the top.
Yeah.
But he is extremely powerful.
Yep.
And he takes a liking to Mash for his craziness. But he is a very important character throughout the whole story.
He looks like Dumbledore.
Yeah, yes, he does.
He looks like Dumbledore.
He looks exactly like Dumbledore with a black line on his face.
Yeah, and he fills that role, although he's much more willing to... Well, actually, early on, he's very much like Dumbledore. There's a lot more to him than that.
Yes.
But I'm not gonna do anything obviously wrong, but I'm not gonna let bad people do mean things to you.
Right.
Like protagonist, because I recognize that what you're doing is actually the right thing, and I'm smart enough to realize that, and I don't... If someone who's kind of a bad person is gonna do something, I'm going to push back on them first.
Yeah.
Before I bring it up to you. But try not to be stupid.
And that's a good point. A lot of the characters seem very tropey at the beginning, but they do get flushed out better as the story goes on.
Yeah, I feel like in one sense they get more tropey as they go on, but there's this one part of them that is that trope. They are more than that.
Right.
But they embody that trope to the point that it's almost half of their character.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about Lance and the Syscon.
Mm-hmm.
He's more than that. There's a lot more going on. He has a whole fully developed character. But in the beginning, like 25% of his existence is about his sister. And by the end of it, half of his screen time is kind of about his sister.
Yeah. Oh, and
it's like
eventually it's explained why he's like that.
Yeah.
Like there's a backstory to all of them of why they're the way they are.
They are all fully well-rounded characters with motivations and existences and reasons and developments and ideas and complex emotions. But also half of the time they're just playing straight into that trope, even though they don't have to.
Yeah. They all have quirks.
They don't become less tropey.
Yeah.
They are their quirk, their trope, their existence, and they're going to always be like that. And that's never going away. So if you don't like that, tough.
Yeah.
And one other thing you had mentioned, I don't see a reason to not explain it, where you talked about first line, second line. I don't think we ever see more than 3. I think 3 lines is the max in the series.
Not many people in the whole series have 3. Only
in
a
like the
handful.
whole world, there are like a handful. There are a few hundred that are double line. But I think it's like, oh, okay, so 2 line is more powerful than 1 line. It's like, no, 2 line is more powerful than 1 line. It's not a gap. It's a leap in power.
Yeah.
It's Goku versus Vegeta when Vegeta first starts deciding to show up and he has to go to the afterlife and start training. Leap.
Yeah, it's
Yusuke from Yu Yu Hakusho when he meets the giant guy with like the tons of muscles before the tournament.
Yeah.
It's like Naruto and Sasuke versus Ichiha in like chapter 2.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge gap. A standard 1-line magician will never beat a standard 2-line magician.
Yeah.
And a standard 2-line magician will never beat a standard 3-line magician.
Right.
The power gap is massive.
Yeah. Not in a head-to-head fight. No.
Not in a head-to-head fight, assuming everything is normal. There are things that can change that, like better spells, better tactics, being mash burn dead.
Yeah.
All of those things can overcome that. But if you had a mirror match of just 2 completely normal people and one was a 1-line and the other was a 2-line, it was just that power difference, there's no contest.
Yep, exactly.
2 lines are massively more powerful, assuming they have the training, the discipline, the tactics to back it up. And the magic.
Yeah.
The style of magic. Like, if your magic is making ice cream really well, you can be great as a 2-liner, but you're not going to win a battle against someone who's a 1-liner who casts explosion.
And 3-liners is the same thing, but going from 3 to 2. Same idea.
And even a bigger gap.
Yep.
Just because there's so fewer of them.
Yep.
There are incredibly powerful 1-liners because of the magic they've decided on or other things that come up in the series later. But that's a big thing of the series.
Yep.
As in terms of power. So that's the characters. You now, again, for the 3rd time, I think, you should know enough to know if you're going to like this and want to read it. But if you still want us to talk about it more, we'll talk through this arc because it is a funny set of stories. But we're going to go real light on this because we've kind of told you everything already.
Yep.
There's not much to a plot here. But it starts off, like we said earlier, Mash, he lives with Rain Burndead, this old man who adopted him and has been keeping him in the forest because Mash, like we said, has no magic, has no line, can't go out in society because he would be arrested and minimum exiled, more likely executed.
Yes.
Even as an infant.
Because this is an extreme crime. You cannot have people without magic.
It is considered an affront to society and an affront to God.
Right.
But he goes out into the city. He gets found out. There's a great scene where the police officer goes to stop him, and Mash, trying to like tap him and say like, "Don't do that," like rips the entire front of his uniform off.
Oh, he gets cream puff on him, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll clean it for you." And he grabs his collar and rips the front of his clothes off. I'll wash these for you.
It's Looney Tunes style. Like he grabs him by the collar and rips, and just like straight line, his shirt, his jacket, his pants just rip all the way down the front of him. So all you can see is like they're wrapped around him, and like you can see his underwear in front of him. It's like, my uniform.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't worry, I'll go wash this for you.
So there are some great scenes where people just have deadpan faces and they just deliver these ridiculous lines, or just crazy things happen. People's like, oh, that happened.
Yeah, the Japanese like facial, like goofy, whatever the art style is, normal faces to like that very minimalistic style of face. Like this series does that in spades.
Oh yeah. Face,
absolutely full of it.
Face expressions are a big thing in this one.
Yeah. 90% of them are disbelieving shock.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Because they usually watch Mash do something that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of them, and they're very funny. The humor in this comes through in everything, the writing and the art. Mm-hmm. We haven't really talked about the art, but it's
good.
It's good, and it gets better.
Yes.
It's clearly his first series, and by the end of it, it's very, very good. It's up there with anything else other than the super technical or the super well designed. It's just fantastic art. It's also very, how would you put it? It's very black and white.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
It's extremely high contrast. There you go. Something is either like black or white or hatch marks. And like there's not a lot of like tones and trying to do color and shadow. It's just like, no, his uniform is black. It's just black. It's just solid blacks.
Yep.
All over.
That's true.
It gives it a very much a style and design that stands out, and it looks good. It's done in a consistent way that gives a nice design to it, but it's a lot of pure black, pure white in everything. I like it. Mm-hmm. I think it's great, but if you're really interested in art and shadow and lighting and things like that, this is not one for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a way that the author uses to tell some of the jokes too, because you have these elaborate scenes, and then Mash does something, everything goes black to black and white, and he breaks it, and that's the joke. It's like, oh, this crazy thing, and then the next scene is him just snapping it by accident, and it's like, uh-oh. Yeah. And that style of, because there are some really nice scenes with a lot of shadows and things like that, so there's very technical scenes like that, but then the contrast of going from those to very simple, just the character standing there and doing something stupid gets you that, he did it again kind of thing.
Speaking of that, so the police officers track where Mash lived back to where Rain Burn Dead is in the cabin, and you meet this wizard called Brad Coleman, who is an investigator, like sort of type position, like above the police officers. It's never really defined, but he's trying to convince Rain to give up Mash, and he starts to beat him up, and then Rain's like, no, Mash, save yourself. And Rain is this incredibly kind and gentle person, who is very forgiving of Mash and did everything he could to raise Mash as well as he could. He's also the reason why he had him exercise and do all these things to help take care of himself, so Mash could support himself in a world where he has no magic, is, use your body. It worked out way better than Rain could ever have expected. And he's still terrified of what Mash can do, but Mash shows up, confronts Brad, and Brad is like, all right, well, I'm going to use your, after ripping the uniform of the police officer again, just because.
because
he just walks over to him and just rips it. He's like, why? Brad fires like this super magic ultra blast at him, and Mash punches it.
He just slaps it away.
He just slaps it, and then there's just that scene of like, what? He's like, all right, well, I'm going to use my double super move. And the police was like, oh, God, he's going to use this other thing. And Mash bats it the other direction. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to use another one. And the Mash volleyball punts it, and they start dribbling him. Wait, now he's juggling them? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then Mash is like goes to Rain and like, Rain, I'm sorry, I'm borrowing your wand. He's like, oh, what is he going to do with that guy's wand? And he just hucks it at Brad. And he just goes like, he goes to throw it. And you just see the Gundam Neon Genesis Evangelion giant mecha like laser beam blast as he fires this thing across the room. And it just hits Brad on the cheek and just cuts a line through him and like blows into the wall behind him. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. And where this ends is Brad is like, okay, fine, I can't beat you, got it. But hey, there's this magic academy, and if you get into it and you become this thing called the Divine Visionary, you get power in this world, and that's the only way you'll ever not be spending the rest of your life being chased by people like me. I'll help you do that. But I'm going to want something from you, but like you'll be able to then live normally. That's what sets off the entire rest of the series. Is Mash is like, okay. Brad then gives him a fake line on his face.
Yep.
And then they basically become background characters for most of the series.
So Rain and Brad are just, every now and then they go back to the two of them. It's like, oh, I wonder what Mash is up to.
It's like, do you miss him? No. And then there's like thought bubbles of them be like, I miss Mash. I hope he's okay.
Yeah. So every now and
they're
then
like
they
sitting
check
at like a
in.
campfire or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is when that's the whole inciting incident, going to the Easton Magic Academy, trying to become this divine visionary. And so chapter 2, chapter 3, he goes to the exam.
Yeah.
And this famous magician named Claude Lucci is running the exam, and he's using all the magic. And Mash is like, yeah, okay. And it's like, aha, you have to take a paper exam, and I've enchanted it with magic so that the letters are constantly moving. You'll have to dispel it. And Mash is like, excuse me, paper, can you stop doing that? And then he like grabs the paper and squeezes it really hard. It's like, stop moving and let's go. And all the words have stopped moving.
Yeah.
And he fills out the exam. And it's like, okay, well, now you have to do this. And he just punches it. And ultimately, he makes this huge labyrinth.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, okay, like you have 30 minutes to get through. And you find out in a moment that he told Lemon Irving, the girl, to go and make Mash fail. And even if they both failed, he would pass her if she made him fail. So she's like trying to distract him. And then he ends up leaving because like, you're clearly not helping. She's about to get attacked by a sphinx and like giving her this riddle, but she's like panicking, like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, what was the riddle?
Oh, it's
what has 4 legs at dawn, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs at evening.
Yep.
It's a very famous riddle.
Yep.
And Mash just suddenly jumps back in, punches him, like, that can't possibly be a real thing. You're being a weirdo. And just beats the crap out of the sphinx.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Why did you come back? It's like, well, you have your own reasons for doing what you do. Like, maybe they're as important as mine. It's like, but we'll never make it through the maze. It's like, I got you. And then he just punches through every single wall and just walks to the other end.
Yeah.
And then eventually passes, goes into the Magic Academy, and now he's just part of the Magic Academy.
Mm-hmm. The beginning shows off a lot that there's prejudices among magic users as well, not just against non-magic users, even between magic users. There's a lot of prejudice of you're not strong enough, you're not good enough, you're not a good enough family kind of thing.
Yeah. And that just continues in the next several chapters where there's the next sort of mini challenge. There's this magician called Lloyd Cavell, whose father is the vice principal and is from this prestigious family, and he mistreats and looks down on everyone else. He's school bully arc.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting Mash to do stuff for him where it's like, oh, I dropped this thing, pick it up. Oh, I did this. Because Mash is just like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, what do I care? Oh, you dropped something? Yeah, here you go. Oh, there's something on your shoe? Yeah, I can clean it off, sure. Oh, this is broken? Yeah, here's a new one. It's like, whatever. And they're all laughing behind his back, but they're also... this is when Finn comes in, and Lloyd convinces Finn to start ruining Mash's stuff behind his back, like burning his textbooks or ruining his robes to like make him feel like someone's doing stuff behind his back. And Mash is like, oh, Finn, you're the best friend ever. You're so great. And Finn's like, shut up. Stop it. Finally, they confront him. Lloyd is the son of the vice principal from this big noble family. So, of course, Mash takes him and smashes him face first into the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, meteor impact around his entire body. His face is, like, gone. And vice principal walks up and is like, oh, I'm going to get you. So, Mash smashes his face into the floor.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't do that. I'm the vice principal. I'm going to expel you. I'm going to chase you for the rest of time. And Mash is like, okay, I'm going to bury you. And he just digs a hole with his hand, shoves him in, and starts burying him in the dirt up to his neck. He's like, what are you doing? I'll have you expelled. He's like, yeah, and I will bury you.
Yeah.
We'll see who survives.
Yeah.
Finally, it stopped, and this is when, what was the headmaster?
Wahlberg.
Wahlberg. Yeah, this is the time he comes back and is like, you can't do that, but also they are assholes.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I'm going to protect you. Try not to do things like this. But you're right. This is the kind of thing that goes on here. This is that, not just against non-magic users, but against everybody.
Yeah.
People think power gives them whatever they want.
Yeah, because Wahlberg is very much out to try to also fix the world. Because he knows there's things that aren't right. And he hopes that MASH will be able to either help him or change how this whole society is working. Because he knows that there are things that are wrong. And he wants to find a way to fix them. And he thinks MASH is a way to do that. To show people that just because you don't have magic, you can't do great things.
Next up, we have the not Quidditch and the battle with Lance Crown. Is there anything you want to add to these? They're good, but it's
one of those. Right now we're kind of showing off how MASH is trying to get through school by being non-magical.
Yeah, we mentioned he flies in the broom by kicking his feet in the air.
And by kicking,
like he's treading water.
Like moving his feet back and forth really fast in order to fly. So he's just kind of hovering.
And that's just he does.
Yeah.
He scores lots of points because he throws the ball with a curve so that it goes out, goes through the ring, and then curves out and comes back to him so he can just throw it again.
Yeah.
And they go from like 50 points behind to 3,000 points ahead.
Yeah. It's over the top, just like a lot of this. But yeah.
It's silly, but it's like, okay, yeah, like people are starting to realize they kind of just brush it over as maybe it's magic. It must be some kind of magic. But MASH is successful, and him being successful means people are like, oh, okay, we like you now.
And during all of this, he's trying to play up the idea that it's muscle magic, I believe.
Yeah, this is when he starts saying, it's like, oh, he doesn't start using the terms until the fight with Lance, but it's like, yeah, it's tricep magic.
Yeah, he names all of his spells after his muscles.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe he names his muscles.
Yes.
Yeah.
When he's first introduces himself to Finn, he's like, yes, and this is Tony, Jim,
yeah,
Brian,
just regular
Mark,
names.
Sam, and it's like, wait, you have names? What kind of person names each one of their pectoral muscles?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is when Lance comes in. He kidnaps Lemon, Finn, and Tom, the sports ball guy, and challenges MASH to a fight because winning that Quidditch match, he got a silver coin, and you start finding out now, collecting these coins will let you get gold coins,
Right.
which will let you fight for a chance to become the Divine Visionary, which Lance also wants. So he kidnaps them, and they have a fight, and Lance uses his gravity magic. MASH responds by grabbing a tree root from under the ground and yanking it out and knocking him down. And so Lance is like, all right, you know what? I can't beat you in a fair fight, so I'm just going to drop them off of this cliff. He looks back at MASH, and MASH is in the track and field starter pose as he's letting go of the bottle. He finishes letting go of the bottle, and there's just an explosion as MASH runs, grabs the bottle, and immediately runs back. And Lance's like, what? How did he run all the way down a cliff, grab a bottle, and run all the way back up in half a second?
Yeah.
Like, aha! I did it. But because Lance is going to be a good guy, turns out it was a fake bottle because he wouldn't have wanted to kill them, but he's just trying to get MASH to give up his coin. Lance ends up giving him his coins because, like, yeah, technically you won. Here's your coins. Which leads to the next chapter, which is a great filler, and they start explaining the process to becoming a Divine Visionary. But Lance is trying to help Finn and MASH with their potion homework.
Yeah, because Lance is actually really good at schoolwork.
He's incredibly talented. Yeah. And so they have to use a Mandragora, and it's like, oh, you have to cast this calming spell on it. And so like, Lance does it instantly. Finn takes a while, and MASH tries it, and it makes it scream louder and get bigger.
Yeah, because
it's bigger.
That's one of the things. MASH has a wand. He keeps trying to do magic, and it doesn't work. he tries to do magic all the time, and he just kind of fakes it. But in this situation, it just goes horribly wrong.
It goes bigger and bigger and bigger, and then he just slaps it, and it stops immediately. But then they have to make this potion with it. And so Lance shows them how to do it. And then Mash does exactly the same thing. And instead of a potion, it turns into a cream puff.
Yeah.
And then Lance is like, no, that's wrong. I don't even know how you did that. We're going to do it again, and we're going to walk you through the steps. And so Lance is there walking him through the steps, and it's a cream puff. And Lance is like, how did that happen? I was watching you. What happened? And that's the humor of this, of just like, yeah, yep.
Yeah, and it's so funny when he's doing the Mandragora scene, because at that point it's huge, has spiky teeth, it's like a monster, and he slaps it, and it does the face of blood spurting out of his mouth. That really iconic scene of someone getting slapped, and then it just keels over.
And like Lance showing them how to make it is like this incredibly manga like cooking scene of like the pan flipping and the food cooking, and him like doing the professional chef like pinch of salt being spread out from like 3 feet in the air and all this, and it's so good
Because it shows Mash doing the same thing, and it comes out as a cream puff.
and it turns into a cream puff. And they keep trying, and they can't make it not be a cream puff when Mash cooks it.
Yeah.
And that leads up to the final thing, which is the other main fight in the first real fight against Silva, and you find out later the girl who's not named here. She does have a name, Lauren Cabase, but I think it's like mentioned in the in-between chapters in like book 11. Someone asks if she has a name. It's like, oh yeah, it's this. But it doesn't come up in the story.
Yeah, they don't come back.
Yeah. No, they show up at the very end.
Yeah, true. Yes.
In the spoilers.
Yeah.
That we're not going to talk about. But a lot of characters show up at the end for a reason.
One thing we've been kind of glossing over is that there's other classes going on that are also funny, but it kind of, once the idea of the gold coins come in, that's pretty much all they're focused on from then on, is that they need to get as many coins as possible as fast as they can so they can do the Divine Visionary. But in the beginning, they're just doing also regular classes too.
This is that turning point of that where Silva knows Mash's coin, so he's going to go, and I think he just wants to beat the crap out of Dot, who we meet here and is involved in this. I don't know if Dot has a coin or not, but he wants to beat them up to take their coins because he's a second year who's already gotten some.
Right.
And so he challenges Mash ultimately to try and get his. The girl is basically like, oh, damsel in distress type thing, has attraction magic that makes people fall in love with her. And of course, because it's Mash and it's Mashle and it's silly, just like it does nothing to him. He just has no reaction.
He's completely oblivious to everything.
Completely oblivious, and also like has no effect on him. Whereas Dot, who earlier in the scene was like screaming about how he wants a girlfriend, is like extremely effective on him. Completely devoted to her.
Yes.
Silva shows up, challenges Dot, like, and he is a second year. He's a 2-liner, and his is this stone crystal magic.
Yes.
Ultimately, it comes down to him saying to Dot, like, okay, if you let me hit you 10 times and you're still standing, I'll give you my coins. And he just whops the hell out of Dot. Because Dot used like his explosion magic on him, which is very powerful, but it's like, does nothing.
Right.
Ultimately, 10 hits go through. Dot stands up and is like, okay, that was 10. I win. And then collapses. So like he almost got there. As Silva is bad-mouthing him, this is when Mash is like, all right, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going against you. And he's like, oh yeah, well, what are you going to do with your tricep ballista? What the hell kind of spell it? And then Mash appears literally in front of him, and having moved 40 meters in a split second and punches through the crystal and knocks him halfway across the clearing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, all right, okay, that's a little scary. And then Mash goes for the second hit, and it's like, oh, I'm going to put up this huge wall. And he just smashes through that and slams Silva into the ground. It's like, okay, 10 hits, right? That was my first 2. Do you think you can take 10? And proceeds to beat the ever-living shit out of Silva.
Yeah. Oh, so one thing we forgot to mention, the reason they're in this forest is because they are hunting for scorpions to get pieces of coins.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason they're here. But
This is another chance for them too.
There's a special scorpion that's supposed to be incredibly powerful that shows up right at this point, and Mash's like, get out of the way! It just slaps it into the sky.
It does the like anime comedy thing of like someone uppercutting behind them in the background, and you see them flying away into the sky and turning into like the star point. Yeah. Like you do with like Team Rocket. Like he does that to the scorpion and then beats the crap out of Silva, and then the girl is like, oh, he was forcing me to do it. And because stupid jokes have to be made to be stupid, Mash is like, don't worry, I believe in gender equality. And then German suplexes the girl.
Yes.
Just because. And knocks her out. And then like picks up Dot and is like, yep, all right, time to go back. Okay.
Yeah.
That's Mashle. Mm-hmm. That's... You might be wondering to yourself, what the fuck? Exactly. That's what this series is. That is an honest explanation of this. It is wacky. It is weird. It is not serious at all, except for the times when it is. Yep. And in the middle of the fights, there is still humor. There is still wackiness. There is still goofy faces and things like that. But when it's like, okay, we're going to have a fight, it's an actual battle. And...
Yep.
Punches, kicks, people getting thrown through stuff, like crazy effects and magical abilities and all of that. It doesn't just make light of that, but the moment it steps out of that mode, it's back to silliness.
Yes.
First and foremost.
It's great. It's funny.
It's great. It's so great. It is just pure shonen.
Yeah.
So here's there's a thing, and I think we've talked about this not on recording, of just like the thing that comes up later that it's maybe not super great, but still, like, this is kind of the low point. It's only going to get better.
Yeah.
We both already think it's really great, but even if you're like, it's okay, it's kind of funny, sounds kind of silly, sure. Like, it just gets better. The battles get bigger. The humor gets more silly. The characters get more intense, but also more human.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
As it goes, everything just improves. The author, Hajime Komodo, everything about his skills in this just improves with time.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's a fantastic series. One of the things that I had forgotten about, or I didn't even know, but rereading it, he had quit his office job to try to become a professional manga artist, and he had given himself 2 years to try and do it, and this was a series... This is what happened. Like, it took him almost all of those 2 years to get something serialized, but he did it. And it was this. And it came out during COVID.
Yeah.
And when his series started, 5 other series started at the same time. And so him and his editor were like, well, there's no assistants that we can hire. Okay, we're just going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He talks a lot about, like, all of the struggles he went to get to making this. And he made such an incredible series.
Oh, yeah.
It really does get better with time, but even still at this point, it is so good.
If you're looking for an action comedy, I don't know if there's too many more that are better than this one. This is like the epitome of a action comedy story.
Yeah. This beginning definitely leans much heavier into the comedy than the action. There is some action. It's not until the second book that you really get the first real fight, even with Lance, because the first half is in the first book, and I think the second half is in the second book.
Yeah.
But the action picks up from here, where there are more interesting fights, more interesting magic. We haven't talked a lot about it because it's kind of there, but the cool things that the magic system can do and the inventiveness of the magic of the world shows up, but not yet.
And then on top of that, there's the inventiveness of Mash himself trying to find ways to overcome everyone's magic. And there's some crazy magic that he has to figure out how to get around.
Yeah, don't forget, we've already had gravity magic. Yep. And like that's kind of one of the boring ones. You see one of the headmasters where Wahlberg shows something because Mash is like, I'm just going to do, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. Whether or not I can succeed, I don't care. I'm just going to try. And he's like, well, okay, let me do this. And he activates his magic where it steals the soul of the person most beloved by the person it's being cast on. So in Mash's case, it's his adoptive father, puts him into a doll and puts a giant drill over that will slowly go down and kill them. And there's nothing that you can do. And Mash is just like, starts punching it, and then just literally grabs the tip of the drill with his bare hands and starts lifting it, like pushing it back up. And in the middle of this, there's also this great moment where smash cuts to Rain Burn Dead and Brad Coleman. Like Brad just sitting with him, and then Rain just suddenly like slumps over, like unconscious, and he's like, What happened? What's going on? What?
Yeah.
And it's just like, Mash is like, this giant magical drill that's appeared out of nowhere, stolen someone's soul, and is about to kill it. And Mash is just like, all right, I'm going to grab it with my hands and like shove it out of the way.
Yeah.
What the magic can do in this is crazy. And Mash is, the way Rain taught him and the way he is, it's like, yeah, he's just going to try. He's that kind of a character. But his body pushed himself so much that it's just like, yep, I can just do that. It's such pure shonen.
Yeah.
Distilled, condensed, concentrated so tightly and then injected directly into your eyeballs. It's so much what it is. And it gets better and it gets sillier and it gets funnier and it gets more interesting and it gets more potent, but it never stops being what it is.
No. As the story goes on, the story gets even bigger than Mash himself, and there's all these other storylines get pulled in, and it's a much more complicated story by the time you get to the end than just him trying to be the divine visionary. And the manga is really good, but the anime is also really good, and it has some crazy intro music to both seasons. You probably saw them come out. It blew up on the internet for a while.
Yeah, I mentioned it as one of my post recommendations.
Yep.
Creepy Nuts did Bling Bang Bang Born. Yep. I think I said it right.
Yes.
Which is the intro for it, which is amazing. One of my favorite songs from last year. It is so good. Yeah. The intro and the animation is also really, really good.
Yes.
So they've done a lot of great stuff with the anime on top of the manga as well.
Yes.
So
it's a great retelling.
Absolutely amazing.
But yeah, I don't think I can recommend this one enough. If you want comedy action, this is definitely would be right up your alley.
Here's the two things that I think. When I was rereading it to talk about it for the show, it didn't grab me as much as it did the first time. And it's not so much for spoilers. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, I remember what this is. And then after by chapter 3, I'm already back to everything about this is amazing. Everything about this is so funny. You cannot think about this hard. The harder you think about this, the worse it is. If you just don't think about it and go with it.
Yes.
Other than stopping and going, how the hell is he flying with a broom by kicking his feet in the air?
Yes.
And then laughing at that.
Don't think too hard.
That's exactly how hard you need to think about it. And it's great. I can see there's a major flaw I know with this, but even at that point, this is still such a good series. And the kind of things that it has for flaws, most of the great series have flaws like this. Or most of the really popular series have flaws like this. It's not if this was Naruto, or if this was Bleach, or if this was Dragon Ball, they didn't have flaws like this. No, they had exactly the same narrative problems, or story problems, or art problems that Mashle has. If you think about the story too much, or certain things, this doesn't work that great. But other than that, it's amazing. You, audience members, sat with me, and you asked me to explain everything I didn't like about this story. I'd still give you 95% of it is great. There's a thing at the end, or near the end, where it's I don't know about this part. This is concerning. And maybe this joke didn't land with me. But everything else about it is absolutely phenomenal. And this beginning is very funny, very entertaining, very action-packed, and it only goes up.
Exactly.
For almost the entire series.
Yeah.
And even the part that's bad, it's it's still good. It's just not amazing. And I absolutely adore the series. You should read it.
It's great. There's 18 books. As we said, there's 2 seasons so far. Third one's coming for the show. It's
All
really
of
good.
the manga's available in English on apps, on digital platforms all over the place. So
Yep.
if you want to get it, you can get it. And it is absolutely worth your time.
Yes. Couldn't agree more.
Well, with that is going to be the end of this episode of the Mudai Manga and Book Club podcast. Thank you again for listening. If you'd like to find us at any of the other locations other than where you currently are, those locations are on Blue Sky at Mudai Manga Book Club, on YouTube at Mudai Manga Book Club, on Podbean and other podcasting apps at Mudai Manga and Book Club, and you can email us at mudaimangabookclub@gmail.com. Please do us the internet pleasantries of liking the video, leaving a rating, subscribing, thumbs up, likes, comments, bells.
Do whatever you want.
I don't know. There's probably something with hearts. There's probably something else with like shoes or like happy-go-lucky happy thing. I don't know anymore. It's been a long episode, and I've had a lot of alcohol, by which I mean not enough alcohol, but also too much. But any of those pleasantries, it lets us know that you all are enjoying the series, that you all are having fun, that you like what we're doing, or gives you a chance to give us feedback, which we would also always love to hear from you. Positive, negative, just let us know what you think. And any other questions, comments, if you don't want to leave them in those, you can also send us, as I said, to mudaimangabookclub@gmail.com. But with that, we have reached the recommended name. Louie, do you have a final recommendation for our recommendation name?
Yes. So, a while ago...
Okay, good. So mine... Oh, you can actually tell us.
Yes, I'll tell you this time.
Oh, even better.
So, I don't know how much you follow Disney stuff, but a while ago they did a Star Wars Star Cruise Hotel. Think of Star Wars Hotel is what most people call it. It lasted for a year and a half, I think, and then they closed it. So there's a YouTube channel called Ordinary Adventures. They did I think it's 4-ish hours, more than 4 hours, episode.
Oh, wow.
Where they edited and combined all of their interactions at the Star Wars Hotel. Because the thing about the Star Wars Hotel was you would go there and you would almost role play a character yourself in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, wow.
So you would go, there's storylines that you can discover, there's things you can interact with, there's characters who are like character actors, there's a whole storyline that goes on, there's multiple, like there's a smuggler storyline, there's a Jedi storyline, there's a First Order storyline, there's a Resistance storyline, there's all these storylines that are going on at the same time, but you can only really do one at a time per visit.
Okay.
So what they did is they created one video where they pretty much explain the whole like adventure almost of all the times they were there and kind of walk you through all the different storylines, say, hey, this is what happens and their interactions. So it's really neat because you can't do it anymore because the hotel is closed. But it's like, okay, this is what you would have gotten if you did this. So it's neat. The hotel was not the greatest. So they painted it as a really good experience. There's been a lot of people that have said it was a really bad experience. So take that with a grain of salt. They're very much into this. And you have to be super into Star Wars if you were going to do this. But it's very interesting to see how the cast and the hotel did the different storylines. Because you were there for like 2 days. And these things were... So you get up, you have breakfast. There's storylines you do. And then you... So you get there, you do some storylines. The next day you do some more storylines. You go to the park to do other storylines in the theme park. You come back to the hotel. There's more storylines that go on. And the next day you check out and kind of, that's it. But there's so much stuff going on. It's kind of crazy because they went 3 times, I think.
Okay.
And it kind of explains how all of that worked. So it's really interesting. So that's Ordinary Adventures. I think it came out last year. So it's kind of on the later side to check this out. But it's an interesting watch. It's long. But if you were ever interested in what could have been if you had gone, definitely check it out.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
It's neat.
Very nice.
What about you?
So I have recently picked up a game that I got a while ago called Astronauts. The easiest way to spell that is take astronauts and take the astro and spell the astro part backwards.
Okay.
That's astronauts. I knew about this from the developer is Blue Bottle Games. They made another game, Neo Scavenger.
Yes.
Which is a sort of like hex roguelike. Was their first game. It was big. For an indie developer, it was like they were successful. Like they're a full-time developer even back then, still are now. This is their new game. I got it when it first came out, which I think was like a year and a half ago. It's still in early access. It's getting closer to release, which is why I sort of came back to it. I think it's coming out of early access this year. But Astronauts is less roguelike and more open sandbox, not quite RPG, but simulation character thing in a strange world where you are a shipbreaker starting out living in a poor colony on an asteroid in the middle of the solar system, barely able to afford anything. And the game starts with you have taken out a loan to buy your own ship, and so you're on your own going out to these derelict spacecrafts, tearing them apart and selling the parts for cash. And that is the game.
Okay.
And the atmosphere is modeled. You fly your ship between ships, and you have to carefully fly up to the other ship and dock with it. None of the systems are individually incredibly complex, other than the conversation system, which is kind of really awkward, but has a lot of moving parts that you can use. I just don't really use them in the way I've been playing recently, but there's interesting stuff there. You can build your own ships. Like, literally, you can build the floor plan, individual floor tiles, walls, thrusters, things like that. And you start off, you're just sort of like thrusting around between these different little broken ships. You are able to, and in-game with enough time, you can get to the point you can build a ship that can fly around the entire solar system. Because everywhere except for planet Earth, there are people. Earth has people, but no one can go there anymore for reasons. But you're basically just a ship salvager by yourself on this broken down craft that you bought with a mortgage that you're desperately trying to pay for. Oh yeah, and if you don't spend $5,000 to buy a license, you can get arrested for shipbreaking, which you don't get at the start. So in the very beginning, you're like sneaking onto these derelict ships and stealing stuff and selling it. There aren't a lot of games that are like that, about semi-survival, in space, very focused on you as an individual person. And it's like, if you like some of those aspects from things like Firefly or the original Alien movie, where when you get your ship at the beginning and you'll start flying, something could go wrong and your ship will just start leaking air. And so you're running around like trying to patch holes in your wall and your floor. You probably start off with a pressure suit that has no air at all. So you walk into your ship, open your suit to get your ship's air, close your suit, and then it's like, yep, you got 20 minutes to go and do what you need to do before you just use up all the oxygen in your own suit, and you'll just start suffocating out there. It's not a roguelike. You're not expected to like, oh, I died, let me re-roll a new character and just jump right back in. The game takes so much longer that you really can't do it that way.
Okay.
But it has this incredibly open sandbox that you can play around in.
Nice.
So if you are interested in like that sort of grungy science space shipbreaking, shipbuilding type of an adventure, there aren't very many games like it, and this one does a lot of letting you make your ship and find parts and rebuild them and put them into your own ship, or build out your own ship, or tear all the wiring out of the ship, sell it for cash so that you can eventually buy one of the other derelicts that's not so bad and remake it. And it's like, yep, you can have a whole crew all working together. You can get all kinds of crazy equipment, get jobs to like steal things or fix things or deliver things, or all this kind of social aspect stuff you can do with all these other characters, and they all remember each other and interact with each other to some degree. There's eventually space races, and you can fly to all these different planets and all these different cities, become a citizen. Like the top level idea of what something like Starfield or or Star Citizen, like space games. Imagine that as like a top-down 2D game. It has that feel, just much grungier, and if you make a mistake, you're going to die, and it's going to be painful.
Okay.
The game isn't super hard once you understand, like, how things work, but it's going to kill you a few times as you get started. You'll just be like, I have no air, I'm dying. Okay. The audio design and the music is also incredibly well done.
Cool.
It is still in early access. I think if it's not something you're super excited for, you might want to wait for it to finish, but keep an eye on it because it has improved a lot since it first came out, and there's a lot of content that exists for it. There's going to be multiple planets to visit, multiple factions, all sorts of things. There's tons of ships, there's tons of parts. I've played for about 30 hours in total. I've still never left the Boneyard, which is the starting area. And like, I still find fun just like show up, dock to a ship, go in, like, okay, what can I find here? What can I do with it? It's just a lot of fun.
Cool. Sounds good.
And with that, that'll be the end of the episode. Tune in next week where we will be covering
Dan Arc 2, which is the Silky Arc, which is chapter 9 to 17. So about the middle of volume 2 to the middle of volume 3. Should be good.
It's going to be exciting.
Gonna go back to a series we covered in episode 0.
Yay!
Not sure I recommend going back to episode 0, but
it was
fine.
Yeah, let's go with fine. Okay,
we'll go with fine.
We'll go with fine.
Yeah. So that's next week.
And we will talk about that next week. So with that, everyone, have a good night.
Bye.
Peace. We did it. We're back to 3 hours.
Yeah, this is a really long episode for some reason.
This is a really long episode for some reason.
Muscles versus magic. My name is Louie. My name is... You're just going to do that nonstop, aren't you? My name...
No, I'm not.
See, I was waiting for that.
But you can't guess what we're going to talk about today.
No idea. I already forgot.
Who are you?
So Friday. So to get started, we're gonna have. Oh no! This is already going off the rails.
This is already going to be the best episode. For other people, not for me for editing this, for you for doing the video.
Good luck.
For everybody else, it's going to be great. Yeah. Louie, what have you been up to? What have you seen, or what have you read, seen? Oh, it's going to be a great episode. It's going to be a great day. This is a great day, everybody. It's a great day.